Go out to your garage or down into the basement, and there is a good chance an old refrigerator is still humming away out there. The one that got demoted when you bought the new model. That old box is 20 years old, maybe more, and it is still ice cold. Meanwhile, the tall, shiny one in your kitchen is already on its second service call, or its second replacement, and it is barely 7 years old. Same simple job. Keep the food cold. So why does the old one refuse to quit while the new one dies so young? Tonight, I am going to show you the one part that explains almost all of it, and the reason almost nobody will ever replace it. I want to slow down and be precise here, because this is not a rant about greedy companies. It is a story about a single engineering decision, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The heart of any refrigerator is the compressor. It is the pump, usually sitting low in the back, that squeezes the refrigerant and drives it around the loop that pulls heat out of the cold box and dumps it into your kitchen. Everything else, the shelves, the light, the door bins, the ice maker, is just furniture bolted around that one pump. When the compressor stops, the refrigerator is finished. So the real question of how long your fridge lasts is simply the question of how long that compressor lasts and how easily it can be fixed on the day it stops. Now here is what changed, and it is the crux of the whole thing. On that old unit in the garage, the compressor was a heavy, simple, reciprocating pump, a piston driven by a crank, and it was built like an anvil. It ran a little loud, it was not especially efficient, and it lasted decades because it was massively overbuilt for the light load a home ever put on it. Just as important, the sealed cooling system it lived in was something a trained technician could actually open, repair, and close back up. Refrigerators were built to be serviced. A good tech could recover the refrigerant, replace a failed part, pull a vacuum on the lines, recharge it by exact weight, and send you off for another 10 years of cold. The machine assumed, from the first day it was drawn, that one day it would need a repair. Stay with me, because the modern version is where the trouble begins. To chase the energy label and to shave a few dollars off the build, much of the industry moved to newer compressor designs, including what is called a linear compressor, where the piston is pushed back and forth by a magnetic motor instead of a spinning crank. On paper, it is quieter, and it can be more efficient. In a lot of real kitchens, though, it simply has not held up, and the failure often shows up in the worst possible way, as a refrigerator that quietly stops getting cold while the interior lights and the fans still run, so nothing looks wrong until the milk is warm and the freezer is dripping. By the time you notice, the damage is already sitting on your dinner plate. And here is the part that turns a repair into a funeral. That compressor is sealed inside the refrigerant system, a closed loop with no simple bolt-on connections. To replace it, a technician has to cut into that sealed loop, recover the old refrigerant with certified equipment because it is against the law to just vent it into the air, braze in a brand new compressor with a torch, pull a deep vacuum to boil every last trace of moisture out of the lines, and then recharge the system with an exact measured weight of refrigerant. Get the moisture wrong, leave a tiny leak at one joint, and the new compressor dies too. That is specialized, hours-long work that only a properly equipped shop can even attempt. If this is the kind of straight talk you want more of, the kind the salesman on the showroom floor will never give you, subscribe to Still Running, because pulling these machines apart and showing you what actually failed is the entire point of this channel. Now let me put real numbers on it, the way a repairman does standing in your kitchen with his hat in his hand. The compressor part by itself can run a couple $100. The specialized labor to recover, braze, vacuum and recharge that sealed system runs several hundred more on top of it. Add it all together, and you are very often past the price of a new mid-range refrigerator. So the technician shrugs, and he tells you the truth, which is that it is simply not worth fixing. And a machine that is only 7 years old, with perfect shelves, a working light, and a door that still seals tight, gets wheeled out to the curb over one sealed part. That is not a run of bad luck, and it is not you being hard on it. It is the direct and predictable result of taking the component most likely to fail and sealing it inside the system that is hardest and most expensive to repair. Now let me prove this is not just one grumpy opinion, because on this one there is an actual paper trail. This exact problem became a class action lawsuit. The company LG faced that suit over its linear compressor refrigerators, the French door and side-by-side models built between 2014 and 2017. The attorneys estimated that more than 1.5 million of those refrigerators could stop cooling, some just months into ownership, others after a few short years. As part of the settlement, LG extended the warranty on that compressor out to 10 years, though the company denied that the refrigerators were defective at all. Sit with that number for a moment. More than 1.5 million cooling systems, inside a single brand, across just a few model years, all pointing back at the same sealed part. When one failure shows up that many times, it stops being a stray mistake on the assembly line. It is written into the design itself. And I do want to be fair here, because these newer compressors were not born out of pure malice. Energy rules got tighter over the years. Buyers asked for quieter and more efficient refrigerators that cost less on the price tag, and the linear design did deliver some of that on paper. But every engineering choice is a trade, and the trade made here was durability and repairability handed over in exchange for efficiency and a lower sticker. The engineers hit the exact target they were handed. That target simply was not a 25-year machine. It was a refrigerator that passes the energy label, sells cheap on a Saturday, and lasts about as long as the market quietly expects it to, which is not very long at all. Here is the one idea to hold on to through the rest of this. The reason the old one survives is not sentiment or luck. It is that the old one was built to be opened and kept, a rugged pump inside a system a technician could actually service. The reason the new one dies is not that making cold got harder. It is that the pump was cost-optimized first, and then sealed inside a system that makes repairing it uneconomical. Same physics, opposite philosophy. One machine was designed around the day it would need a repair. The other was designed around the day you would give up and buy another one. And think for a moment about what that second philosophy actually costs you over a lifetime. If a refrigerator lasts 25 years, you buy maybe 2 of them across a long adult life. If it lasts 7, you buy 5 or 6, plus the delivery charge each time, plus the fee to haul the dead one away, plus a freezer full of spoiled food every time one quits without warning. That cheaper sticker was never really cheaper. It just moved the cost off the showroom tag and spread it quietly across the next 30 years of your kitchen. You can hear all of this straight from the people who work on these machines for a living. One appliance technician with 10 years on the job pointed directly at the linear-style compressors as one of the top failures that rolls through his shop. And the single most liked refrigerator story I have ever come across was from a man whose 22-year-old fridge finally quit on him. He went online, found the simple part that had failed, replaced it himself right there at the kitchen counter, and got the thing humming again. 22 years old, and a do-it-yourself fix on a weekend. Try that same move on the sealed unit in your kitchen, and the best technician in your town will still tell you to just buy a new one. So, what do you actually do with all this? First, if you have one of those old survivors out in the garage, understand what you are really holding on to. It is not junk taking up floor space. It is a serviceable machine from an era when serviceable was simply the standard, and it may well outlast the next 2 refrigerators you carry into your kitchen. Second, when you go to shop, ask the one question almost no one at the counter ever asks. Ask exactly how long the warranty on the compressor runs, by itself, separate from the rest of the fridge, because that single number quietly tells you what the manufacturer truly believes about the part most likely to fail. A company that stands behind that compressor for 10 years is telling you something real. A company that covers it for 1 short year is telling you something too, if you are willing to listen. I am not here to sell you a brand, and I am not here to make you afraid of your own kitchen. I am here to make sure that the next time a repairman says it is cheaper to replace than to repair, you understand exactly why he is right, and exactly which decision, made in a design meeting years before you ever bought the thing, put you in that spot. The compressor is the heart of the machine. They made the heart cheaper, and then they sealed it in behind a wall where no one can reach it. If you want me to keep pulling the back panel off these machines and showing you the one part they hope you never think about, then subscribe to Still Running. And then go look at that old one in the garage, still cold, still humming after 20 years. That is not the past showing off. That is proof of what these machines were always capable of being, if anyone still chose to build them that way.